Welcome back, guys. We are now joined by Tracy Tutor, author, real estate agent, and star of Bravo's hit show, $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. Tracy, welcome.
Hi, guys. How are ya?
Good. How have you been in quarantine and whatever month it is now?
It's like day 110 by now. I'm hanging in there. Believe it or not, LA is not a terrible place to be quarantined.
Speaking of coronavirus, though, how has that affected the real estate business and the industry?
Obviously, in the beginning of all of this, definitely March, April, and May, we were pretty much at a halt. No one was moving on anything. I had probably lost 25 million in sales.
On the show, we see that you have some drama with David. Where do you stand right now?
That was over as fast as it began. And you know what? Everybody has their favorite on the show and their opinions about, how I handled it or how David approached it or whatever. But the truth is, I stand by everything I did and everything I do. I
was like, he's going against Tracy. Oh gosh.
Well, I know. I was like, are you sure you want to have this conversation without James? And you all caught a blip of it, and
right.
you don't know the entire story because you weren't with me when I sat in that appointment with that client, and they were creepy, to say the least. They were, making all these gestures about David and how much they love David. And I was like, excuse me, I'm the one that drove an hour, 20 minutes to sit down at your folding table for your $1.7 million house. And David, bless his heart, is like at the Beverly Hills Hotel meeting with his developer client for lunch. You guys know for a fact that David went to that appointment and met with him after he heard that I said he's not showing up to that appointment. So, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So speaking of real estate in Los Angeles, this season we're seeing a very special piece of property, which is your home. Was it extra pressure for you coming into the season knowing that you were going to be listing your house and showing that to the viewers?
Yeah, it was. Obviously, I got a lot of flack when I got a divorce. I was ready for a new chapter in my life. I think my kids were ready for a new chapter, and now we're living on the other side of town, and it's been an exciting time for us. But that process was tough, letting go of the control, managing my own sale, but I handed it off to what I think is the best in the business, and that's my team. So next week we might see a little bit more of just the transformation of the house and all the work I put into it before listing it. The house was listed at 23.9 million, and we put it in escrow and closed, I want to say in under 90 days.
Next week, we're seeing that Fredrik is coming on. How do you feel about him being in the mix?
Fred is the best. I welcome Fred to LA, and I think everybody on the cast does. I think, Josh and Fred had a misunderstanding or, a disconnect there for a period of time, but that's sort of all behind us now. I mean, we got bigger fish to fry. So for me, I love having Fredrik around. Fredrik's at my house working out all the time. He trains in my garage with my trainer, and a couple of times, we'll work out together.
I'm curious, what did you think about the Razor house?
Believe it or not, I've represented Frank Gehry's, John Lautner's, so I'm very accustomed to that type of architecture and how to sell it. So I immediately got it. It's not for a family of 5.
Right.
But, that's not what they were trying to sell it to. Walking through the house was really fun. I mean, I would make a couple of changes for myself personally, but I thought the house was really, really spectacular.
What do you even do with a piece of property like that?
Yeah, where's the debt?
Do you live there? Do you live in it? What do you do?
Oh, no, you're I just feel like I should be drinking a martini and always dressed to the nine. There's no TV, there's no moment for sweats in that house.
The fact that they couldn't decipher which master was the master, I was like, oh my gosh.
Watching the dynamic between the two of them and how different their styles are is I mean, it just added to the drama of the house. They're hysterical together.
Watch $1 Million Listing LA Tuesdays at 9 on Bravo.